Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Lovely to see you. This isn't going to be on the video, but I just made a boo-boo and I got someone's name wrong. So this is for the second time of asking. Welcome. We're doing a little video today on a perfumer that we have never really talked about, but who is probably one of the unsung heroes in the world of perfumery.
He's been kind of lurking in the background.
Yeah.
Of a lot of our lists and things. I mean, I suppose that's
we've mentioned him probably, but not
an interesting thing
much
to talk about. That a lot of the fragrances we talk about are new fragrances, and in those instances, we often know the perfumer because we're kind of particularly interested in these niche and artisanal brands where. Sometimes the brand is owned by the perfumer. Obviously, that was not the case for a lot of the time. And the idea of the kind of ghost perfumer, that like a ghost writer, so somebody who's in the background, whose name was never featured in the sale of the perfume, is the more traditional way of doing things. Really,
and the one doing all the hard work, really.
And so there are lots of fragrances which have made millions and millions and millions of dollars, but yet nobody knows the perfumer. Whereas if there was a painting which is sold, made millions and millions of dollars, we would know the name of the painter. Same with the musician, and it's not the case with the perfumer.
Perfume is art, and I know it sounds like a cliche, but it really is art. And I think to not know, to not have the interest to know who made the things that we're wearing, I think is absolutely not cool.
So sometimes we know the brand. For instance, let's say this is not Bertrand Chant.
Sorry, this is
so
what
we were talking about Bertrand Duchefort before. Bernard Chant. It's not a Bernard Chant fragrance, but if you have a Tom Ford fragrance, you will see the brand Tom Ford. So that was not the perfumer. There's probably an oil company like Givaudan or IFF behind that, and then behind that again there is the perfumer. So several times removed.
One man or woman sat for months,
working
years,
the magic. So
heroes.
We are tracing the kind of lineage, the career of Bernard Chant. And again, kind of going on with what we've been saying, it's difficult to find out much about him. For someone who has produced one of the most popular male fragrances ever made, it's difficult to find out much about him. It has no Wikipedia. Has no Wikipedia entry, for instance.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, I'm going to put that there.
Yeah.
How does Wikipedia work? Can we just make an entry?
I don't know, maybe we could, yeah.
I feel he deserves it.
Maybe we could.
We should do that. But then we can make up some things, like he got into paragliding in the 60s. And
built the Eiffel Tower.
Had a pet rabbit called Steve. Anything. Right, sorry.
All we're doing today really is we're just going to talk our way through and smell some of his fragrances. How many we've got here? Like 10?
10 or so? Yeah.
10 or so.
It's a good overview of the man. And he didn't make that much, did he?
Well, he didn't make that many, but they just... they all seem to be enormously significant.
Yeah. Some perfumers will make this many perfumes in a year. And that's great. And there are some prolific, wonderful composers out there, perfumers. But this is a sort of good overview of a life in perfume, isn't it? Which is quite exciting.
I mean, I think I have been later to come round to his work than Joe. So Joe has always been... going on about a few of these fragrances we're going to mention, certainly Aromatics Elixir, and the one for me, the Aramis 900 was one of the first which made me think, oh my god, I can't believe how good this smells and how cheap it is. We talk about a lot of expensive fragrances, so the vast majority of these fragrances are very cheap. As we go through, we'll also discuss the notion of kind of vintage. So a lot of the bottles are new formulations. We've got a couple of older ones, and we'll discuss which is better, and whether maybe some modern formulations have improved.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? That some of the things today are still great, even though they're not necessarily the same.
It's very easy to think all the new reformulations are bad. It's
it's a sort of auto.
That's kind of what we kind of tend to assume. But anyway. Should we
let's start. What's our number one?
So number one, we're in 1959. This is Cabochard. So this again, it's one of the reasons why we're doing this video is because we talked about this recently, and I only bought this in November. This is a 2019 formulation, and I was just absolutely blown away by this. And one of the other nice things, since we published our video about fragrances we've recently worn, I've had so many people have said they bought this fragrance, and they've gone absolutely kind of
I still need to do
wild for it. And people who are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a bottle of fragrance often have spent $20, $22. Like this cost me £18 for 100 ml.
It's amazing.
Let's just remind
Good perfume does not have to be expensive.
So it's worth maybe kind of just before we talk about this kind of smell a bit about kind of talking about the lineage. We haven't. So this is 1959. This is one of his earliest fragrances, and this is, it's this bitter green, dark chypre, and it's perhaps important to just mention the lineage from Germain Cellier's Bondy.
Yes.
Which we don't have a bottle of here. But if you read about this and you discuss online, lots of people talk about the lineage from Bondy to Cabochard, and then later to Aramis. And arguably the best known of those is now Aramis.
Yeah.
But to kind of chart
That's
where
fantastic.
it comes from. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, a few things to note about it is it seems absolutely elegant, kind of beautifully put together, kind of no rough edges, despite the fact that it's such
Dark
a
and
big,
brooding.
bold flavour. So it's got a big dose of isobutylquinone, which is this leather aroma chemical, which is used a lot in leather fragrances of the kind of earlier mid-20th century, which has got a kind of real, almost kind of medicinal, rough, bitter edge to it.
Yeah.
But it's somehow balanced amidst everything else, brought into this dark green sheet.
Yeah, it feels very smooth and round for all of the sort of edge and attitude it's got as well.
But there's some
Fantastic.
But there's bright greenness. I get like flecks of bright green. I feel you have a real kind of spectrum.
Yeah.
And when you wear it on skin, it's complex. There are lots of floral notes kind of swimming around in the mid, but I fundamentally think of it as a bitter green leather chypre, and possibly the best possible example of that.
Oh, fantastic.
It's
Really good.
So created for Madame Grey.
Yeah.
After a visit to India. I don't see why it's inspired by India. I don't get any
knows?
connection
I mean,
with India.
It seems like such a reference, doesn't it?
So perhaps worth
I like that a lot.
mentioning on the subject of kind of reformulations and is old or new better. So this is a 2019 bottle and a new reformulation. Now, if you read up on accounts of this, everybody says that. So for instance, if you read the Luca Turin original guide, his entry for Cabochard is quite sad. Really, he says, it's a real. The new bottles are a real shadow of a great masterpiece has now fallen to bits. And everybody says, if you look around like 2010, if you go online and look at any reviews around 2010, everyone says, oh, this is awful, this is terrible. But this new bottle is really fantastic. So this is an example.
Someone has listened.
People have been really careful and worked hard to produce this beautiful fragrance on restrictions implied by IFRA, but also of budget. It cost me £18. So to produce something that good at that kind of price. We're just going to have a slight segue now.
Yeah, I want to try this.
So this is, I'll mention, I'm not a Germain Cellier. We don't have Bondy. I've just got a little bottle of Jolie Madame here. which we're going to smell. So this is another dark, moody chypre. This is not a kind of bitter green. This has got more kind of purpley notes, I would say. It's quite stressful because it's just a little splash bottle of pure parfum. So I'm feeling quite stressed at this. But I just thought it might be nice to kind of smell it.
Let's give that a whirl. I've not smelt this since we did that collaboration video with Making a Stink. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
it's a pure parfum, so it'd take a while to open up, but that's so like. But this is more orris-y. So
that's like a big orris butter, melancholic.
Yeah, very miserable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like smelling Après Londe and those guys. It's an experience.
But you can see the relation to Cabochard.
Totally,
it's definitely got that kind of like a bitter chypre.
100%.
But
yeah.
Here it's got this kind of like orris-y, dark, irisy miserableness. And it's interesting that the leather seems to come more from the orris-y perspective than the isobutylquinolane, which is slightly more bitter, kind of acrid quality.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In
lovely stuff.
Madame Rocha as well.
Let's go back to Bernard Chant.
Yeah.
Here is a fragrance. This is the only example of this, but this is going to be a discontinued one. This is Imprevu by Coty. So this was released in 1965. I'll kind of show you the bottle. So this is
a very beautiful bottle.
It is a very beautiful bottle. So this is, I mentioned online to some people that we were thinking of doing a video about Bernard Chant. Are there any fragrances which we should explore? And someone said, yes, if you can get a bottle of Imprevu, go for it. And this cost me £40.
Are there still many out there?
They're not. I mean, there were a few, but this just happened to be one I chanced upon. 100ml, £40. So I mean, it's kind of no-brainer. And I mean, this atomizer looks terrible, but I was saying to Joe,
it's like the Jovan.
It's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
I mean,
that's what atomizers should be doing.
Isn't that the best atomizer you've ever seen in your life?
That is by a long way the best atomizer I've seen in my life.
I mean, I completely covered the orb, but
that is really.
I mean, you don't need to kind of smell it, really. So, when Coty released this, it was their first fragrance they'd released for 25 years. And what's interesting, from an old bottle, it's surprisingly energetic from first spray, isn't it? I get this kind of bitter orange, but somehow intensely dry.
I mean, you can tell some of the top notes may have changed over time, but there's definitely bags of personality straight off the top of this.
Yeah, this is kind of slightly, I don't think, maybe not tight, but I guess I don't really get this dry, bitter orange opening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then immediately, I don't know if you get this on card, but on skin I get quite a lot of spice, so it feels quite different. On first spray, this smells quite different to Cabochard. You're getting a lot more brightness of the kind of bitter
absolutely,
orange,
much brighter.
Almost kind of aldehydic. Then you get spice. I get a lot of coriander seed, and I almost got a tiniest hint of cumin.
That's really good, though.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it?
Yeah. It could be surprisingly modern as well. I mean,
it is, isn't it? Do you know when we're saying it's interesting that when we buy these old bottles, it's difficult to know how it's been affected, but there's something strangely energetic and bright about it.
Do you know when it's from?
I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing maybe kind of 70s. Looking at the bottle, if anybody knows, that's what it says on the bottom. If everybody knows about these kind of things, but it's been discontinued for a while. But
I like that a lot.
The opening is quite different to most of the fragrances we're going to talk about today. Dry, bitter orange, hint of aldehydes. Then you get quite a lot of spice, quite a lot of coriander seeds, even the smallest hint of cumin. Now, going into the conversation about old bottles, new bottles, I do find with this one, the dry down, when you get to that real chypre base, which is going to crop up a few times when we talk about these fragrances, the chypre base dry down on this is quite special. because we're probably dealing with larger quantities of real oak moss than we are in any of the other
real everything.
Well, possibly. I don't know if it's real everything.
But to a greater degree.
But I already feel there's a kind of tobacco-y, oak mossy-like quality.
Yeah.
Which smells like real oak moss. And this really is quite special, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I need to try that on skin to really get the measure of it.
And I think on skin, the orange is brighter, I would say, than on card.
It's really
That's good, isn't it?
Really,
but you get quite a lot of spice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in many ways, it's different. Cabochard was this dark, quite serious, quite heavy, quite moody. This Imprevu means unexpected, I think, in French. It feels quite a little bit more playful than the Cabochard.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a sort of smiling, bittersweet thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the Cabochard is really bitter and regretful, but sort of amazing.
So already we're at 1965. So 1966, Aramis.
Aramis, yes.
So Aramis, one of the three musketeers.
Yes, interesting.
So Aramis is part of Estée Lauder.
Yeah.
And you
all know that walnut veneer effect. Some people like these in a Rover car with the dashboards. Quite a nice effect, apparently. There we are.
I heard someone was saying that Estée Lauder might be discontinuing the Aramis line, which seems absolutely
that would
insane.
Be suicidal. It's a weird atomizer. It goes out in a sort of star formation.
See, there's a real relation to Cabochard.
Yeah,
I would say
absolutely
real. Massive,
really is,
massive. You can really get that straight away. You get the same iso beautiful little leather.
Absolutely the same leather. That's one thing I really picked up on in the Cabochard.
Smelling them kind of one after the other. Go back to that.
It can be quite a cumin bomb as well sometimes, Aramis. I mean, I'll tell you an interesting story. I first wore this when I was a little kid. I must have been like 10 or something years like that. And I was off to play tennis with some friends, and I doused myself in almost an entire bottle of this because it was the splash, and I just threw it all over myself. I thought I smell amazing, and then I played tennis in Richmond somewhere, and I was really good. So I think my tennis prowess came almost
entirely. You'd kept it up. You could have been a professional.
Novak Djokovic, I would have been. No, well, I would have got vaxxed. But anyway, it's really related, isn't it? You can see the line.
This is obviously a slightly more aromatic.
Yeah.
In interpretation, so there's some bit of a lavender and kind of those kind of slight fougere twists on a chypre.
Yeah, I think it goes bigger on the tobacco.
Yeah.
And the sort of bright, immediately appealing face. It's a little bit more warm and cozy, maybe.
Yeah, it does feel more. Yes, certainly than this 2019 Cabochard we got. So this is a new Aramis, isn't it? This is a
modern stuff.
This is a modern iteration.
What you've been able to buy for the last few years.
But again, I've just got to say that it's impeccably blended. It feels smooth as anything. We're not getting any kind of roughness or brashness. There's a real feeling of elegance.
And it's such an easy wear. I mean, even on a hot day, you've got to be careful with the trigger, but the cumin never really overwhelms it for me. It can be a bit of a cumin bomb if you really overdo it.
But on the other hand, I can see how it's an easy wear. But I feel if you're somebody who's looking for something a bit more complex, then you're also getting it. Yeah. You're getting an easy wear, and you're getting something a bit more. There's a hint. There's just a hint of soapiness which I wasn't getting in the Cabochard.
Yeah. And more aldehydic.
Yeah, more aldehydic
sort of
kind of
bright
locker. It's interesting because as we go on, we're going to talk more about the kind of the aldehydic-ness. There was a hint of it, wasn't there, in Imprevu? But there was none in Cabochard, I don't think, at all.
No, that was very much. That was almost like an X-ray, the way it just held its ground.
Yeah.
This is definitely trying to.
But the Cabochard was an EDP, only £18.
It's amazing.
Aramis you can get for about £12, can't you, for 100ml?
Oh, that was probably around 15 quid when I got it, or less, maybe.
I mean, it's worth.
I don't know what it is now, but it's
in terms of fragrances we're looking at, which are hundreds of, $200 for 50 ml quite a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean, get yourself a vintage bottle of that though, because it is amazing. I'm sure it's still amazing.
But even this stuff,
it's great, isn't it?
It's really good,
and it's great on skin. This is all just on card. On skin, it warms up with your body chemistry, like all great perfumes do. And it, I find it really envelops you. It's a really comforting, like, hug of a fragrance, but still with plenty of personality.
Okay,
love it.
So there's now.
He's a talented man.
The next one on my list is in 1969. Is Azurée, is one which we don't have. So this is an Estee Lauder release. Estee Lauder, also the parent company of Aramis. And I've just got to say, this is going to the conversation about kind of reformulations. I bought about a year ago a new bottle of Azurée, and I didn't like it. I bought it and I didn't like it. I found it like kind of bitter and borderline acrid. So it was certainly a slightly greener, brighter, more uplifting version than some of the fragrances we've described so far. But I just didn't like it, and it's. I don't know if it was just the reformulation, because lots of people rave about it. But I tried it and I wore it a few times, and then eventually I sold it. So,
and that's fair enough, isn't it? They'll get some things right with reformulation, some things they'll completely cock up. I think. Yeah,
and that's one of the Estee Lauder ones, which are a bit more expensive. We're going to talk about Cinnabar later, but it's the same brand. The bottles, the boxes look like that, and they are more about the kind of £50, which is still incredibly cheap.
Yeah, but you don't find them on the real discounters side of things.
So let's move on to another Aramis 900, 1973.
What a great year that was. Well, we've both got this, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got it. Well, let's
doubled up here.
So we've actually got. So this is one of the few occasions. So we have Joe's more modern bottle, and then I've just got this little, slightly older bottle.
I'm so desperate to smell these side by side.
I also have this. So why don't you spray on card, and I will splash on bottle. Now, do you know what the 900 stands for?
No, although I think it probably stands for £900 if you reduce it by 100% in terms of cost. No, maybe not. It's not £9, but also it's not far off £9. So,
so please let us know.
Oh, I love this stuff.
So I've got to say, in particular, this is the one fragrance here, which it's really good, isn't it?
So good, so good.
It's the one fragrance here which Joe has mentioned several times that really made me think I really need to look into this guy. Should we stop?
Yeah, I'm so curious to smell this. Oh, it's all there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all there.
But so I have both bottles. And I struggle to find much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, from smelling that, I would say they've done a really good job keeping that.
Can I go back?
Keeping that intact.
There's a little bit more sweetness, actually, in this splash bottle. But
and I imagine when you're getting down into the mossy territory later on, maybe that does it a little bit better than the old.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how old this bottle is. I don't think it's hugely old. If anybody knows about these things, please do tell us. But, I mean, I think, I do love Cabochard, but almost if I had to pick one out of everything we're talking about today, I think it would probably be the Aramis 900. So, it's just a great sheep of kind of tremendous rewarding complexity that somehow, as you were saying, it's also an easy wear.
Yeah. That's the thing, that they're sort of challenging, but in a way that doesn't preclude you from wearing it and feeling confident and empowered. It's not something that's going to divide the room that much, I would have thought. It
just smells it smells really expensive. It smells really well put together. It smells like there are great quality ingredients. Chypre Peloton by MDCI is a fragrance I really, really love, which is about $200 for 100ml. And
it's that beautiful herbaceous,
Yeah.
slightly medicinal edge, but so smooth as well.
But this is again slightly kind of brighter still than this is much brighter than Aramis.
Yeah,
isn't it?
progressively we're going away from that really dark, moody.
Yeah, I feel that kind of
bitter
We've
green.
still got the chypre, but we've lost the bitterness and we've
Yeah.
lost the isobutylquinone, haven't we?
Yeah,
There's a kind of sweet leather, but there isn't that like bitter, slightly acrid leather. It feels much more uplifting, much brighter, despite being a chypre. Kind of
not too heavy on the florals either. I mean, there's a little bit.
This is the old one.
The carnation starts to poke its head through a little bit, I think.
See, that's the thing. I think there are, as you said, there are more florals. Bit of rose, bit of carnation,
Yeah.
bit of geranium. Is there?
I'm not sure, but I could definitely see it if there was.
But there definitely feels like there's
some
more
bright-
floral kind of mid bloom.
Yeah. I've interestingly, when we compare this to something later, I found that this was a slightly muted version of some other florals, but in
Okay.
the same
Yeah.
kind of lineage.
Mm.
I really love that. I like the fact that they've clearly. I've not smelled that older stuff. They've clearly done a really good
I've
job.
also
on that.
put Katie Puckrick. Loves it.
Oh yeah. She's great.
So
I
if
love
you I'm just
Okay.
doing a bit of research online. The wonderful Katie Puckrick seems to have recommended this to loads of people. This is also, it's ever so slightly aldehydic, because men's fragrances, we maybe think of aldehydes as a women's fragrance thing, but I actually think once you get into the late 70s, early 80s, you get it a lot in male fragrances.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Isn't it good?
It's awesome.
20 quid roughly,
I mean, yeah,
or less.
if that,
Or
if
more.
that.
Don't
Or
be
more.
silly. Don't buy one that costs £50. You can get it for £20.
Right. Slight, something a little bit different. So a different brand. So this is Halston.
Yeah.
Sometimes known as kind of Halston Classic or just Halston Cologne. This is recently made famous by the Netflix series about the designer Halston with Ewan McGregor. Such a cool bottle.
That's really nice. I like it.
It's really cool.
It's like a lava lamp.
And this is the attempt at a sort of all-American chypre, I think.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to have a fragrance which is somehow very American, so he chose a French traditional perfumer.
Good combo.
Okay. Have you smelled this?
No,
Ah, how exciting for you.
this is the first time, isn't it?
So it instantly feels, on first spray, it feels quite different, I think, to everything we've smelt so far. When you very, very first smell it.
Yeah.
So there's quite, it's a lot brighter. There's a kind of melony, bright
Definitely.
green, almost plasticky, rubbery green. I'm reminded of some of that green quality in Synthetic Jungle by Frederick Malle that just came out.
Oh yeah. I could see that. And bearing in mind, I mean, how old is this bottle?
This is new.
Oh, they still make it.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
It's slightly difficult to hold in the UK, but in the US, it's really easy
I
to
did
get
not
hold of.
realise that. Well, I was going to say the top notes have fared really surprisingly
Yeah.
well.
Oh no, but
Of course.
this is much more top notey than anything else.
Yeah.
I'm getting this bright melony, this quite
Yeah, it's very
marigold.
clean.
You get marigold as well.
A little bit. I'm getting like a slightly honeyed apple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very gentle. It's not too sweet, not too sticky.
Yeah. So, but what is interesting?
But it's green.
But when you wear it, it's on top of the chypre base, which you later you kind of recognise.
Yeah.
So he's kind of doing what he's good at, but he's somehow found something which on first spray feels very different. And obviously this was released in 1975, and he wanted something modern and American for 1975, which is now almost 50 years ago to us.
That's really good.
But can you feel it? I think it feels bright and energetic, and it feels like he hasn't.
Feels very modern.
It feels strangely modern for a 50-year-old fragrance.
It says a lot, doesn't it, that what perfumers are doing today is still really influenced by the past, and sometimes harkening back and wanting to relive some of these great perfumes.
It's great, and it's really good
Really
on skin.
well
I
made.
really loved wearing it. It had more of a pick me up and energy than a lot of the other fragrances talked about, apart from maybe the Imprevu. But then you then got the kind of the Bernard Chypre base.
Yeah, I need to try that on skin because I'm
is
looking forward to seeing how that opens up.
Which is the thread kind of tying these all together.
Beautiful.
Really good, really
and
good.
Of course, there's Halston Z14 and a couple of others that are popular. I'd never even heard about that until Dan told me.
I haven't watched the Netflix series, and people did say that this fragrance kind of almost was hard to get hold of for a while because people watched the series and then wanted to buy the fragrance. Apparently, in the series, when they talk about the development of the fragrance, they mention a female perfumer, but it wasn't. It was
Bernard.
Our mate Bernard.
That's really good.
Love that. Right.
What's next? Where
Aramis Devin.
Devin, here we are.
So this I've never tried this. So this is 1977.
2 years before I was born, and the greatest human who ever lived arrived in the world. Not me, it's someone else.
What does the Devin mean?
I don't actually know. I should have looked it up, but it's a great challenge for you out there. All I know is if I can show you the front of each of these boxes. Well, I'm not going to show you, but this says custom blended cologne. This says herbal eau de cologne.
That's the 900.
That's the 900. This says country eau de cologne. So it's part of the gentleman's collection, as they called it. Let's give a bit of a... There we go.
Can you imagine if Estée Lauder ditched all of these?
Oh, it would be scandalous. I think it would be ridiculous.
Okay, all right. So it's interesting. It's a little bit more of a departure than I expected.
This, I mean, for me, this is grassy,
yeah,
pissy,
really,
rose, gentle.
Hay.
Yeah, very hay-like.
That's really good.
It's like super herbal and grassy and.
I almost get slight kind of like there's almost like a mintiness. There's a really lovely, fresh herbaceous quality in that. God, that is amazing. I mean, I think one of the reasons we wanted to do this video is because it has been quite revelatory to smell fragrances this good for this amount of money.
It shouldn't happen, should it? It's quite piney as well.
Yeah.
It's also kind of nice and pissy. It is a little bit pissy, I think.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like this would be a constituent of something like Polo Green, in terms of that real big green piney aspect.
Yeah,
but
I could even get a very, very, very distant relation to something like Kuros.
Yeah.
That's really good. Oh, that's really good.
This is probably the most bitter herbal of the lot, I think, in terms of the combination of bitterness and herbal notes.
That's amazing.
20 quid for a little 100 ml like that. I've not worn very much. I've probably gone through about.
It's like aniseed quality, like basil aniseed.
Yeah. It feels very much like a bouquet garni, I think.
It's just, I mean, the
lavender in there is like nice and bitter, sort of.
Yeah.
Smoked almost.
Just the blend and the kind of level of skill I feel which is going on there.
I mean, it's first rate.
It's just absolutely amazing.
And it's just under the radar these days, and I think
I'm
quite glad about that.
Somehow, we're not quite going in that barbershoppy direction, but it's even though they're slightly different notes, it's giving me that barbershoppy feel.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
And the dry down goes even more in that direction. Once that initial hit sort of fades away, I find it quite a sort of sharp, refreshing, bracing thing, but with a little bit of soapiness.
Is there geranium as well?
I think so. I think I made a little list of.
Oh, that's so good. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There could well be, and it settles down. It sort of gets into a sort of tobacco, medicinal tobacco kind of nuance.
I can really imagine that kind of tobacco. That's so good.
And again, this is the new stuff that you can.
Yeah.
This is what's been around for a few years, and I dread to think how amazing the other stuff was. But I'm happy with this at the moment. If that's what.
But the fact that they can make
that's what they're putting out.
That it's possible to make something which smells so good for so little money.
Yeah.
So little money.
I think as a collection, these are great, and I won't bring it out, but I've got Havana down there, which is not by Bernard, so it's not part of this video. But I think as a set, it's a really good kind of.
Yeah.
And there's one called New West. There's Tuscany as well, which is fantastic. I've got that somewhere. You know, it's as a range of perfumes.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic.
So,
What's
same
next?
year,
Same
1977.
This bad boy.
Something very, very different.
Aromatics Elixir, which I've long been a fan of. This is like my second bottle of this perfume. I went through this stuff a lot back in the day. There she is. Little frosted glass. That's the EDP. The EDT is clear through glass. I mean, this is really the closest related to Aramis 900. I would say.
Clinique, isn't it, the brand?
Clinique, yeah. Who also do Happy and lots of
it's
sort of
such
face products. And that
we don't need to put any closer.
This is a big one, probably.
Yeah. It's funny. It's amazing.
Probably one of the biggest.
I always have in my mind it came out much earlier. It's just this gargantuan aldehydic floral, isn't it?
It's big. Yeah, it's a big aldehydic beast.
Yeah. But
it takes time actually to settle to do its thing.
Especially having the Devin, which was quite kind of smooth and a little almost kind of intimate. This feels quite theatrical, but we're still getting that elegance, aren't we? We can
totally.
from first spray, we get this feeling of smooth chypre elegance.
It's absolutely voluptuous, and this is aromatherapy time, I think. I often don't like that word, but here I love it. And I get, similar to the 900, I get a lot of the same aspects, but they're amplified. I think this is much bigger on the patchouli and the florals than Aramis 900, which is more about the herbaceousness.
It's interesting. Now you say patchouli, I feel patchouli is a word I've neglected to say, because I felt actually from Cabochard that there was patchouli. Yeah. And actually that was running through. We haven't mentioned it.
It sort of underpins with the Oakmoss,
because we think of kind of like a kind of darkish green chypre. Perhaps we kind of take it as a given, but there was patchouli running through all those fragrances, wasn't there?
Yeah. And here especially, I think in quite a big dose.
See, now I'm getting a link back even to Imprevu as well.
Yeah, there's some. I think the sort of floral aspects here.
That spice.
They have that brightness.
That's got more spice.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's the Imprevu.
But I love this fragrance, and I find it's a real journey. This one of all of these, this is the one that I think can go all day long and still be finding interesting little twists and turns later on in the day. It's good, isn't it?
Awesome.
And again, cheap. I mean, it's not like in the 20 quid range, but like maybe 30 or 40 quid, you can still buy these.
Yeah.
They're probably about 70 or 80 quid.
So speaking of that slightly more expensive range, we're now 1978
so excited
Cinnabar. So this is Estée Lauder. So this is, I'm trying to think what it is. It's like 55, 60 pounds for 100 ml. So
it's a great value. I mean,
this is the EDP. That's what the bottle looks like. This. So these are new bottles. These came out in 2015, and Azurée is the same style. This is a reasonable kind of departure, I would say, from everything we've been smelling so far.
Also, it's my favourite name of all of these. I mean, it wouldn't be hard because like 900 and
that's about as close as you need to get it. Like.
Yeah. God, that's awesome.
That is really good, isn't it? That is really, really, really good. It's quite nice to smell something. In almost a different family. It feels like we've gone away from this kind of like bitter green chypre to this kind of ambered world.
There's some big leather amber.
There's amber,
burning rubber.
Yeah, there's massive labdanum sticky burning rubber. There's cinnamon. There's spice. There's loads of clove, isn't there?
Yeah, this is like a Christmassy for me.
Oh, this is really good.
Like mulled wine, chocolate orange.
Mulled wine, like all those spices, loads of incense.
I mean, I would love to wear this. I guess like a lot of these, they've been marketed to women, haven't they? All of these years.
Yeah, but
I would wear that.
This
in a
is the kind of thing. If it came out now by an indie niche kind of brand, you'd think, oh, amazing.
Yeah, you wouldn't think twice.
Spices. There's I was saying to Joe, I think there's a big relation to opium.
Yes. Absolutely right.
But this modern stuff. It also, I was slightly reminded of the Trumper sandalwood, just because it's a sandalwood fragrance that I love. I mean, obviously, this is much heavier on the spice and kind of labdanum and kind of richer.
God, that's really addictive as well. Like
It's really addictive.
You sort of want to keep going back in and getting a whiff of that, and it's changing every single time.
It's changing. It's quite.
really,
I mean, it's big when you spray it and when you wear it. It's quite big initially, and then it wears well. The florals. You get the florals coming through as kind of thick and rich, some kind of rose, some other.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah,
that's so good.
It's so good, isn't it? And isn't it?
It's such a long time.
I think it's also. You know, when I was kind of wearing these fragrances to remind myself, it was a nice change. You know, having worn all these chypres to then come to this. And it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I wonder if there are other Bernard Chant fragrances which are just not known about. I mean, I wonder if there are some, you know, aquatics or delicate, you know, heliotrope fragrances, or you know, or like a citrus aromatic.
Just a little something to remind you of being on a surfboard, or a shampoo sort of variety. I mean, I have to say, I think YSL should have hired Bernard to come and do Opium. Opium's amazing. But I'd love to see what he would have done with that.
But it smells so rich, and you know, as you said, that kind of rubbery labdanum-y amber.
Yeah, it really amplifies all of those big sort of foundational elements. Even before we really get to the base, you can just sense their presence.
Oh, it's great. Isn't it good?
Really fantastic. I'm going to buy that. In fact, I'm going to buy it because I might get rid of the next perfume.
Oh, interesting. So again,
I don't know if
this is one I've not tried. So this is JHL.
JHL.
This is 1982. This is the last Bernard Chant fragrance we are talking about today. So what does the JHL stand for?
So this is Joseph Harry Lauder. I think it's Harry. And this was basically Estee Lauder's gift to her husband.
Can I spray
She composed this. Give it a spritz. She composed this with Bernard. Well, no, he composed it, but I think it was her sort of inspiration, and it was a tribute to him. And originally, it was a private thing; it wasn't ever going to be a commercial release. And then Joseph Lauder died the year later, and so I think this became almost a tribute to him. And of all of the Aramis range, this is the one that can be trickiest to get hold of. It's not quite as common in circulation.
Interesting. So there is a slight relation to Cinnabar, isn't there? There is like an ambered quality, quite different to the rest of the Aramis.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not tried this before.
It's a specific brief.
Slight kind of aldehydic quality as well, which is not quite as expected with the.
And I find this slightly more boozy than the Cinnabar. Like some sherry cask or something when you have one of those really strong beers. Yeah. I mean, the cinnamon and the clove are all there, I think.
That's interesting because
it's muted in a way.
The relationship between Aramis 900 and Aramis Devin, I could really kind of chart, and also interestingly in the relation back to Cabochard.
Yeah, you can trace it, can't you?
But this, it feels a little bit removed. So you said you were thinking of moving this on.
I'm not sure. I'm going to live with it a little bit longer. I've not worn it that much, and I think I need to try it. But I think it does what Cinnabar does, not as interestingly as Cinnabar.
But I mean, Cinnabar just feels much more.
That's much more of a complete perfume.
Interesting. So quite a journey.
It is. It's an incredible tapestry of. Is it a tapestry? I don't know. But for one person, in relatively short quantity,
I think
to do this much amazing stuff.
The one thing above all else is the fact that there are so many fantastic fragrances, which are so beautifully, impeccably composed, which cost so little money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get all of these for less than one.
It's like Roger or something.
Yeah.
The thing for me is the fact that they all have a personality. None of them feel like they're just trying to please the masses, or they're a kind of a cardboard copy.
Although they certainly, but they almost certainly were. You know, something like Halston. I'm just picking up one as an example. That was him trying to make a big. You know, it's him trying to make a big success.
But with personality rather than just, here's the latest fad
Yeah.
let's jump on board, which is the way these days.
And they obviously they were a commercial success, because that's why they are still available all these years later.
They stood the test of time, and I think they will continue, unless Estee Lauder decide to get silly and do something with it.
I mean, so there are a few omissions. As I said, we did not smell Azurée. We talked about it briefly. There's a Ralph Lauren fragrance, isn't there? I think by Bernard Chant.
It's called Lauren or Ralph. I can't remember which.
But
we'll investigate.
But if there are any other fragrances which you your favourite Bernard Chant fragrances, which we've either missed or we have included, but you'd like to talk about.
And there might be some anonymous ones, like you said, or something that's not on the database.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll investigate. So we have guests downstairs.
We have guests, so we better go.
We're being naughty.
Until next time.
Bye.
Happy sniffing.